right? Because primarily, although we are moving towards like a more flexible hybrid kind of structure, the fact of the matter is that bureaucracies have historically been hierarchical and that authority has been top down. Now, that is transforming, and I don't want to take away from that, but I think that those people who have the wheel of the ship are the ones that are trying to make the decisions. And yet, you have a series of different employees at different levels, either adhering or not adhering to leadership decisions. As an anthropologist that works with people in trying to assess and create a very sort of inspiring office and work environment wherever it is, I think it's really important to think about the different stakeholders from the top to the bottom of the corporate hierarchy. And in an era in which workers increasingly want to have voice and agency and choice, I think that those organizations that are working well and moving forward to some degree are allowing employees to have some kind of say. There is a hardwired cultural set of ideals and of values about what is the workplace and where work should be done. And I think perhaps with some leaders, not all, there may be a tendency to be wedded to these more classical ideas, cultural models of work. And that the more kind of emerging ideas of hybrid work, more flexible work, going to the office one day, going to a workspace, a coffee shop, they're kind of tugging at each other. And my guess is that different firms, different industries will come up with what works best for them. But there is inherently a conflict. Anthropologists often look at the world, and it's not that something completely changes. Culture is hard to change, and that's why it's hard to change what's going on, whatever the firm is. And really what we see is a lot of things get reproduced. The ways of working don't change and so forth. And there's really transformation and reproduction or lack of change. And I think that there has been a tendency in the broader discourse to be like, everything was disrupted. We have to unlearn everything that we did. And this is what is happening. And that's not what's happening. I mean, the reason you see these kinds of disputes or debates being played out in the media, or the kinds of conversations that you and I are having, is because we are at a moment in which not everything changed. Not all the demands of business, not all the demands of office, but some things did. So we are, the question, it's sort of up for grabs on the one hand, but we're being pulled in many different directions. I think that's why it's very difficult, I think, for leaders to figure out what's happening. And it's also difficult for them to literally know, literally who is coming into the office when and why. We don't really know the conflicts and the issues behind those decisions. And so for me, as an anthropologist who mostly uses qualitative data, it's important, I think, as we think about the future of work, to use both quantitative and qualitative data. The sensors are a perfectly good example of having a real sense of the numbers, who's coming in, when is there high density, but understanding why there is high density, what's happening in those very dense moments is in fact innovation, collaboration transpiring. We don't know as much. Increasingly, we're going to have, with AI, with people analytics, we really need increasingly evidence-based data to really tell us what is happening and to help us anticipate what's going to happen in the future. So what leadership is dealing with right now is trying to figure out where we've come from, where we are now, but to assess in a moment of great uncertainty, what is going to happen. We're in a moment of experimentation when it's not entirely clear what the answers are.